I'm going to welcome everyone to the regular board meeting for Sunrise School Division for November the 18th. I'm going to call our meeting to order. We're going to have O Canada sung by Enola School. Please stand if you can do so. Thank you to Enola School. We're going to have our treaty acknowledgement, and I'm going to ask Trustee Dent to read out our treaty acknowledgement, please.
We acknowledge the traditional land upon which Sunrise School Division resides as Treaty 1 territory. We honor our partnership with Canada's original peoples and respect the gifts of Indigenous history, culture, and language. We commit to moving forward in partnership with our communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
Thank you, Trustee Dent. 2.1, adoption of our agenda. Be it resolved, the board approve our agenda. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Rowan, seconded by Trustee Rowland. Any questions on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 8-0. Thank you for that. Chair's comments. A reminder that if you're out there, please send any questions to jody.thiessen@sunrisesd.ca. Name and address on your sender, please, and we will try to get to your questions in the question period near the end of our agenda. I'm going to open up to share a story in our with our trustees. Any trustees? Trustee Wilson.
On the morning of October 10th, I attended a very moving Remembrance Day service at Lac du Bonny Senior School. As I entered the gym, it was dark except for the candles held by the students during the reading of the honor roll of those soldiers who died from Lac du Bonny, Seven Sisters area. What happened was, as each name was named on or called on the honor roll, the student extinguished their candle. I was very impressed with the student-led ceremony. In the afternoon, I attended the Remembrance Day service at Centennial School. Again, it was a very moving service. There was a high level of student involvement and engagement. All the classes made wreaths and laid them at the front. On October the 11th, I attended the Remembrance Day service in Whitemouth. The color party consisted of the RCMP and Beausejour cadets. I laid a wreath on behalf of Sunrise School Division.
Thanks, Donna. Others share a story? Trustee Rowan.
Trustees Boydson, Magnon, and I attended Art Speak earlier this month, and as always, I was in awe of the talent our students here in Sunrise have. In talking to parents of students in attendance, they were also impressed not only with the program offered to the students, but also the artistic ability of the students. There's another Art Speak presentation coming up this Thursday for anyone wanting to check it out.
Thank you, Melissa. Trustee Smith.
I attended the Remembrance Day service here in Beausejour, and I was amazed at the over 700 people we had present in our hall. The members of the Legion 132 joined forces with the members of our Air Cadet Squadron 249 to put together an hour-long service, which involves the Air Cadets placing a poppy on it's a made surface for every single member of the Beaujeu area that died in World War I and II. So someone names the service member that passed away, and Air Cadet puts a poppy on the surface. So, and members of the orchestra from Edward Schreier play during the service as well. So it's a team effort from the school, the Air Cadet Squadron, and the Legion. And I was honored to place a wreath on behalf of the school division at the service as well.
Thank you, Alicia. Trustee Dent?
Yeah, I just wanted to extend my thanks to École Dugald School for inviting Trustee Rowland and myself to their Remembrance Day ceremony, which was capped off by a piper and the Dugald Jazz Band. I also wanted to congratulate Dugald PAC for hosting another successful movie night on the evening of November 10th. And congratulations to the SMS volleyball team and Dugald volleyball team who participated in the Valley Gardens volleyball tournament on November 15th at Valley Gardens School in Winnipeg. They had a great time. I had the opportunity to spend the day there, and a good time was had by all.
Thanks, Dustin. Anyone else? Certainly on behalf of all of our schools that had Remembrance Day ceremonies, thanks to the staff that put in the hard work and the students that are involved in it. Those things are always great reflections for our students and our staff to attend. So thank you for going ahead and doing that. And reminder, it's November the 18th, and it's not too far away as schools are getting ramped up for Christmas concerts and concerts that are music concerts that are going on. Thanks to Sarah for giving us that information so that we have that information in your packages about all the things that are going on, and great engagement about getting into the schools, as trustees currently just talked about doing that at Remembrance Day. But of course, as you move forward, engagement into the schools over the next little while. Thank you for going ahead and doing that in advance. Anyone else share a story? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Reed.
Thank you. So tonight we get another school presentation, and this evening we're welcoming Mr. Tony Stanley from Enola, principal at Enola School, who's going to talk to us about how he and his staff are supporting students in becoming outstanding citizens.
Good evening. Thank you for having me here this evening. No matter how many times I speak in front of people, I always get nervous, so please bear with me. As you can see from the first, we changed our logo last year away from a star, and we have moved to the astronaut with the Enola stars. That was a creation of Mr. Moore and Mrs. Cote and a number of the classes at the school. They came up with the new logo towards the end of last year, and we have rolled it out now. It's on our letterhead, it's painted on our gym doors, and on some of the walls in the school, all created by students who are in the grade 6, 7, and 8 art program. So that is absolutely fantastic. So if you have a chance to stop in, you'll get to see those logos. They're absolutely wonderful. Enola School, these numbers are off by 3. This number was, when I sent in the presentation, it was 213. We are now currently at 210. We had a family move out, and we are patiently waiting for the new development to really kick off. As of now, there are 5 occupied homes and a total of 19 homes either built or under construction. And there's a number of duplexes going up as well too. So that's very exciting for the Enola community and for the school. So that's just, we just watch it growing and getting busier and busier back there every single day. Streets are labeled, stop signs are up. There's even a digital speed reader board on Academy Street now. So that's progress, I guess. Our school goal for 25-26, Anola School will provide an environment that actively cultivates, establishes, and provides a culture of safety, respect, and socially responsible learners. Anola School is absolutely wonderful right now, but we always have room to improve. And when we came up with our goal last year for this year, we decided that we wanted to really focus on that safety and respect and socially responsible citizens this year. Please and thank you. Now, in order to achieve our goals, we have many different strategies. I've highlighted 3 of them here on this PowerPoint. Number 1, money for books for Indigenous culture representation through the school. Indigenous content being integrated into classrooms across the curriculum, cross-grade activities that promote a sense of community, grade 4 lunch monitors, grade 5 conflict managers, and grade 6, 7, and 8 leadership students, and mental health activities such as Project 11. In order to increase a sense of belonging, it is important that all the different ethnic groups in the school have representation in the main library as well as in the classroom libraries. Funds have been allocated for this purpose. I have asked that the books being purchased this time around have an Aboriginal focus as well as one trying to combine that with the sense of belonging. These will be used as well as teaching curriculum with an Indigenous perspective throughout the school. Cross-grade activities continue to be a focus for us as well. It is critical that our early year students interact with the older students in a very positive way. Our older students are role models and need to act accordingly. Student volunteers are stepping up to be lunch monitors, conflict managers, as well as taking more of a leadership role in the middle years area. We also recognize that all students are coming to school with their own issues that arise from their own lives. These issues cannot be ignored. We actively plan mental health activities for the students, with a focus being so far on the middle years with a mental health day, as well as providing activities throughout the year such as Project 11. This is a project that is set up for all students from K to 8 in Anola, with dedicated support from the Winnipeg Jets and Manitoba Moose. The True North Foundation began developing Project 11 13 years ago. And the Project 11 instruction in the school is being led by our guidance counselor, Karen Burr. Now, how to achieve our goals? We have looked at and we've come up as a staff with 3 main areas. Teaching Indigenous content in the curricular areas, looking at and working and getting a better understanding of the Circle of Courage, in reinforcing all of our common language and expectations throughout the building. I'll speak to the Indigenous content one first. By utilizing the Manitoba curriculum guidelines and integrating Indigenous perspectives into our daily teaching discussions with students, we will make sure that all students are aware that everyone is equal and can achieve any of their life goals, no matter what they are. Focus will be on the Indigenous population this year. Talking about the Circle of Courage. There are 4 core values in the Circle of Courage. 1 is belonging. It's a sense of connection, significance, and love from others. Mastery, the desire to learn and grow, and the ability to say, I can succeed. Independence, the power to make one's own decisions and have the freedom to act on them. Generosity, a sense of purpose and virtue that comes from helping others and giving to the community. Reinforcing our common language and expectations. When staff respond in a common and caring way in the building, it contributes to the feeling of a safe and caring environment. We are endeavoring to use common language as well as having the same common expectations of all of the students in the building. It is difficult as all staff and students are individuals and come to school each day with their own issues and their baggage that they're carrying with them, as we do as adults. One of the big differences is that we're a lot older and we're able to deal with that baggage better than the students are. So what we're trying to do is to give them the tools where they're able to cope, to sort out those issues, and to move forward in a positive way. Now, the journey. Teachers teaching Indigenous content. So we have, there are 3 team leaders in Anola this year. Corey Smith, Ashley McLean, and Robin Turner are the 3 people. Ashley McLean is our team leader in the teaching Indigenous content. The main purpose is to have an inclusion and a sense of belonging for all of our students, with a focus, as I mentioned earlier, on the Indigenous population. PD activities with Lola Wanek, and I'll talk about those a little bit. One of our team leaders in Anola is dedicated to learning more about teaching Aboriginal perspectives in a school. Ashley McLean will be supporting and passing on her learning to the rest of the staff, as well as working with them, and we will all be developing our knowledge together. 3 of our staff, Ashley McLean, Tammy Morrow, and Dana Malenko, are working this year in conjunction with myself and SMS, and an Indigenous perspectives expert from the province this year. Her name is Lola Wanek. This has been set up by Chris Gaspardi, and we have 3 teachers plus myself, and 3 teachers from Springfield Middle School, who a week and a half ago we had our first online Teams meeting for 3 hours in the morning. We are going to be in February having Lola come to the school, and we are going to be going to Springfield Middle School, and they'll be hosting us there, where Lola will be spending the day with us, working on the Indigenous perspectives as well. And the learning that we get from that, we will be bringing back to the staff and passing that along to the staff as well. And a great big thanks to Chris, because when the offer was made, there was a lot of interest in people who wanted to take part in that. So I'm very fortunate that we were selected. So that's absolutely wonderful for us. We're very happy. The journey continued. We have, looking at the Circle of Courage, the team leader there is Corey Smith. Corey Smith has been at Anola for a number of years, has got a really good connection with all of the students and the entire community. The Circle of Courage is a positive youth development model that integrates Indigenous wisdom with contemporary resilience research. It is based on the 4 universal growth needs of children: belonging, mastery, independence, and generosity. When these goals are met, youth can flourish and a community can develop courageous and resilient individuals. That is something that we are trying to pass on to all of the students this year. It does not matter their ethnic origins. Resiliency is huge. It is something that we have noticed is an area where all of the students at Anola School need to focus on resiliency. Independence is one of our main focus for this year. And as I mentioned, resilience is key. Developing a common language. That is being spearheaded by our team leader, Robin Turner. Robin Turner is also one of my student services teachers. She comes to us with a strong background in, yes, I'm going to say it, reading recovery. And she has been, she's taught grade 2, grade 3, she's taught grade 1. So she's coming into this role with a lot of experience and knowledge. Her focus this year will be to work with students, staff, and parents on developing common language that should and will be used in the school. We're not only looking at adult language, but student language as well. Language, as we all know, is very powerful, and we need to work on solidifying the correct ways that people use it in the school. A common expectation is being worked on. We all know that words carry a lot of weight behind them. And if we choose the right words or the wrong words, it can take a situation from a positive situation to a negative situation. So the focus is going to be on this year working with the adults and the students on developing some of those core expectations. That's it. Any questions? Sorry, that was, maybe I read too fast, but that's my presentation.
Thanks, Tony. Are there any questions from anyone? Trustee Boyson.
I've got two questions. First of all, one is just wondering about the percentage of Indigenous students in an older school.
I did not bring that.
Okay.
I can email you my more. Sorry, I do not have that information with me. I thought about it before I left the school, and it just slipped my mind. I figured that question would come up tonight.
My other question is, you mentioned the common language and how you're going to integrate students, staff, and parents. Just curious about how you're going to do the parent portion of that.
What we're focusing in on right now is to have that language solidified with the staff and the students. And then once we have it solidified with the staff and the students, then we're going to start to roll out some of those expectations with the parents. How we're going to do that yet, we haven't as a team decided on that, but we know that our first steps have to be with the adults in the building using that language, and the more that we use the language, the students will pick up on those cues, and they will start to follow those cues from us. And I'm hoping that probably by March, we should have been using a lot of that common language in the building throughout the year up to this point, or sorry, up to that point. And then we will start to roll that out, whether it's in the newsletter that we're doing, whether it's talking at parent council meetings, which it will be. It will be talked about in emails that get sent home to parents. So that has not been 100% solidified yet.
Anyone else? Trustee Smith.
I'm just kind of reading up on Project 11 itself because I've never heard of it, so I was just kind of trying to read up on it really quick. And because I'm very focused in on mental health itself, so I'm very impressed on you guys zoning in on that part of it. But what I'm gathering is Project 11 is about, he was a hockey player that committed suicide, correct? Yeah. So it's basically bringing in resources to help children. Can you tell us a little bit more about the program? Because I'm just gathering, reading it really fast. If you know more about it, if you could touch on that a bit.
What I can say is that Project 11 is one of the tools. Karen Burr is the expert. I should have brought her with me. But yes, it is in conjunction, and it was developed because a hockey player did take his own life. There's no question about that. And it's a good program, but we realize as a staff that one and dones really don't work. So what we're trying to do this year is to have a weekly mental health activity that takes place in the building. So Karen Burr, as well as doing some of the project, well, all of the Project 11, what we're doing is we're working on whether it's a Thankful Tuesday, Meaningful Monday, and Karen's going to be developing mental health activities that are grade specific and class specific, because we know that not one program. Not one thing is going to hit everybody across the board. What you would do with a grade 7 or a grade 8 class would be totally inappropriate to do with a grade 1 or a grade 2 class. So Karen is working on developing those activities so that when we roll out the Mindful Monday, Thankful Tuesdays, whatever it ends up being, it's going to be targeted and focused for those grade levels where they will be able to comprehend, understand, and grow and learn from that knowledge and that experience. Last year, we did a mental health focus with our middle years, and it was targeted over a week. And it was good, but like I said, you can't just hit it and then not continue, because mental health issues, as you know, don't only show up for a week a year. They are constant, that we're always dealing with them. And we as adults have a tough time from day to day struggling with certain issues. And we realize that the students are struggling as well. So the combination of Project 11 and the mental health activities that are going to be created by Karen Burr will go a long way to having that running weekly at Anola School.
Thank you.
I was just looking at this a lot, and he's mentioning that he wishes that this program was brought on because he wishes there had something like this in school for him. It was kind of built on things, resources he wishes that he had. So I'm just starting to read about this a bit more. And I'm going to read about it after, but I'm glad that you brought this up. It's a lot of good information I wanted to touch base on. It's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Trustee Smith. Anyone else? Trustee Dent?
I'm going to take your question here, Trustee Magnan. You have 8 trustees here in the room, and we're about to enter budget season. So trying to get the cadence down a little bit. So I'm wondering, Tony, maybe I'll back away a little bit. Yeah, I can't do it. It's cutting me off like yours should. I was just wondering, from your perspective, what should we as trustees be considering for Anola School in this upcoming budget season?
Thank you for the question. Anola School, and I'm not trying to shoot myself in the foot here, our day-to-day operating budget is adequate for our school. I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't have money for paper and things along those lines. But where we do struggle is with field trips. We are, in order to provide each class with a field trip this year, realizing that entry fees are anywhere between $10 and $14 per student to get in the door these days, the budget that I have at Anola is just shy of $2,500, which will only cover the busing. So I'm a little over $4,000 short of being able to provide all the field trips and entry fees for the students. So an increase, I know that we did have $700 added to our field trip budget this year, which was great, wonderful, thank you very much for that. But field trips are tough. And the other thing that we do struggle with is we have an increasing number of students who are opting to take art instead of band. And right now there is no art budget. There is a band/music budget, but there is no art budget. So all of the specialty things that are being purchased to have our art program being successful are having to come out of the general accounts. So it would be nice if there was an art budget line that was provided by the Board of Trustees for the schools. And like I said, other than that, field trips and the art budget, Anola School, Jody, plug your ears. We have the money that we need to run the school day to day. I'm not going to plead poverty. Things that not going to lie, when I go to some of the other schools and I was at SCI on the weekend for a craft show, and looking at the projectors, the sound systems, and the things that a bigger school has, knowing full well that Anola will never be able to have those things because we just don't have the budget, and we don't have like a canteen or ready, steady sources of income coming in to allow us to purchase those things for the school. Everything that we have has to come out of budget. So I just wanted to mention that.
Thanks. Anyone else? Well, I want to comment on that, Tony, as to, we do believe that we've given you the schools a healthy budget to go ahead and work with, as you've gone ahead and said. I think that conversations with Jody, with our Secretary Treasurer, with regard to how you spend more money on art compared to spending it somewhere else, that's something to go ahead and have a conversation with Jody about. Because I think at the end of the day, we look at a bottom line with you, and you're responsible to the Secretary Treasurer and to your students and parents with regard to how you best spend your money at your school, and what priorities you go ahead and spend money on. The question that I have for you is, you said that you talked about your school goal, and so what are you expecting from students, and how do you know at the end of the day that, I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about teachers talking. It's about what we want at the end of the day, about what students are going to be doing. So what are you expecting from your students at the end of the day with your school goal?
At the end of the day, I am expecting and I'm hoping that when I'm out on the playground, that I am listening and I'm hearing respectful language. I'm seeing respectful play. I'm seeing people sharing more with regards to the outside equipment, and not, no, this is mine, get away from me. Because we do hear a fair amount of that language sometimes out on the playground. So what we're trying to do, and our hope, is that as we progress through this goal, and we as the adults start to use more of this language in the classroom with the students, and we start to put more of a focus on the circle of courage. And I will have just an example here, if I can for a moment. When we talk about, when we talk about, for example, a sense of connection, significance, and love from others, we're not looking for necessarily the word love, but we're looking for respect. We're looking for that language that students use with each other, saying, hey, you're over there by yourself, come play with us. We're looking for that inclusionary language. So we are hoping to hear more of that and see more of the students engaging with each other. It's a lot of it right now is going to be anecdotal, just from what we're seeing and what we're hearing. And as well, the office referrals, the students who come in at recess time, talking about somebody pushing them and things along those lines. We are anticipating, with the use of the language around belonging and generosity, for example, that we're going to start to see more kind behaviors happening outside on the playground and in the hallways.
So I guess the way of measuring it is that you're going to look at observations and your staff are going to tell you from observations about how this is going to go ahead and work from you. I guess one of the other ways is that you're going to have less office referrals from kids out on the playgrounds. That's kind of how you're going to measure, is about whether you're being successful or not with this.
Partially. A lot of it's going to come from the teachers in the classroom, the teachers outside. Yes, office referrals are part of it, but it's also going to be having those conversations with students in the hallway. When you're walking down the hallway and it's break time and the grade 6, 7s, and 8s are having their break, engaging in those conversations with the students, modeling that language with some of those older students. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these cross-grade groupings, whether it's art activities, whether it's shared reading, whether it's shared time in the gym, some of those older students are hopefully going to be modeling more of that language with the younger students. So we're going to start to see it that way as well, coming down like that modeling. But yes, at the end of the day, it's going to probably end up being office referrals and anecdotal comments.
So it'll be very interesting to see how you bring that kind of information on your school report at the end of the year as to how well that this goal is working with regard to and what you're doing about it. Because we're always asking is what you're doing, is it working? And so that's the way that you're going to figure that out. One last question. So you're putting a lot of work into, I guess, your school climate. What are you doing academically with regard to literacy or numeracy? What focus do you have as a school?
Well, we're still obviously continuing with the, we have a group of early years teachers who are still working with division staff on literacy. There is the Acadians information that's out there and the program, and we've had teachers who've gone for training on that and are slowly working at implementing that. Our focus is still continuing to teach the math, the science, the ELA to the best of our ability. That's never going to go away. But with our school goal focus is going to be here as I've outlined. But each teacher, like for example, when you're teaching math, and math is definitely still a focus, when you're teaching math, how can you incorporate Indigenous perspectives into your math lesson? How can you bring that circle of courage structure into the lessons that you're teaching in the classroom? We don't have a math residency this year with Alvin. We had one last year that went really well. We are continuing our focus once it's still on ELA and math and all of the content areas.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything? Anyone else? Well, thanks, Tony, for coming out and sharing with us. We appreciate you taking the time and seeing where things are going. It'll be interesting to see if there is that growth that comes out of ANOLA with regard to the development that you've talked about. But thank you for taking the time, and we appreciate it.
Thank you all very much. Have a good evening.
We have minutes from our November the 4th meeting, so be it resolved that the board adopt our November the 4th minutes. I need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Smith and seconded by Trustee Dent. Any comments to the minutes? Hearing none, we'll vote. And it passed 8-0. Thank you for that. We have our superintendent's report. Mr. Reid.
A few items to share with the board and the public this evening. First of all, just want to highlight that the Manitoba Human Rights Commission recently released their report entitled Supporting the Right to Read in Manitoba. This is in response to a human rights complaint, one of several that we're seeing across the country, asking the question whether or not we are doing everything that we need to be doing to teach students with disabilities to learn how to read, providing them with the best instruction possible. No surprise that the findings in this report were very consistent with reports that I've previously highlighted for the board out of Ontario and Saskatchewan. And just happy to say that the findings in the report are very consistent, or our practices in Sunrise are very consistent with the direction provided in the report. So again, reinforcing that we're headed in the right direction with literacy instruction in Sunrise. Report cards will be coming out at the end of the month or into early January. Just a reminder to all parents that report cards are just kind of that real small, finite snapshot of how students are doing against a certain set of learning outcomes that occurred during the first few months of the year. And student achievement can go up and down, throughout the year depending on topics and, what's being taught. And just encouraging parents, after you get that report card to take that extra step to connect with your child's teacher to learn more about how they're doing. I also want to highlight that across the province, our governing body, Manitoba Education and Early Childhood Learning, has been very busy rolling out new curriculum documents. They are all based on the new global competencies, which we've talked about before. But science curriculum, ELA curriculum, phys ed and health curriculum, and social studies curriculum, all in various stages of rollout or development. And so things that we're keeping an eye on in Sunrise. And we've got people attending provincial sessions and trying to do our best to keep principals up to date, who in turn are hopefully keeping their staff up to date with some of the new rollouts as they come. And finally, just wanted to share a piece of great news. I think some of you had heard about this before, but congratulations to Dana Malenko, the music and band teacher at Enola School, who was recently presented the CanNet Professional Development Award, which recognizes outstanding music instruction and commitment to students, to someone in their first 5 years of their career, and that's presented by the Manitoba Band Association. And she was presented that award recently at the Manitoba Band Association luncheon at the MTSPD Day, and just a photo of her. She was nominated by our music program leader, Greg Crow, and a lovely picture of the two of them as Dana was getting her award. So congratulations to Dana. She does lots of great stuff. I was actually at the Enola Remembrance Day ceremony, and great job of the choir. And I don't know how much credit she can personally take for the trumpet player, but when they said they were going to have middle year students play the trumpet, I was like, oh my goodness, how is this going to go? And the young man was fantastic. He truly was fantastic. And so good for him, because that was a big event for the school. And so, yeah, superintendent's report.
Thanks, Mr. Reed. Anything for Mr. Reed? So I think that if we've had some people do some pretty amazing things, can we send on behalf of the board, congratulations to them? So I would go back to Dana, about going ahead and doing something, and whether, the local trustee can get it to her, or if we get it, get it out. Not that I'm asking to give anybody work, or unless we send it. And even I don't know the name of the boy that you're talking about. Those are kind of things that we just need to recognize and say thank you. And so, do you know what? We've talked about it at the board table. If we can put it in a note, Sarah, and send it off as just congratulations. Are we okay with doing stuff like that? Go ahead.
Definitely, I would love to, support her on behalf of the board. I did go to visit her as soon as I heard about it. Took her a little something. She actually cried. Such a humble person. She didn't expect anything, and I said, no, you're awesome, So her whole class was there, and they were all congratulating her, and it was, she made me cry, because she, she was just so thankful. So she's an awesome teacher, and absolutely, I would love if the board would get something, and I'd be happy to deliver it.
Yeah, I just think that, if we have kids in our schools that are, whether they're doing something, get your grade 5 on the trumpet at a Remembrance Day ceremony to go ahead and do it, and we probably maybe have had it at different schools. Well, I'll tell you something, if we're doing some outstanding things, let's continue to, it's just a card, it's a card, right? But it's just really about us going about and doing those kind of things. So we're okay about doing that as a group? Okay. Thanks for that. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so that's something that we'll work towards. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Mr. Reed. Let's move on to our board reporting schedule. So obviously there's two things in the reporting schedule that we've got in our package that we've asked Mr. Reed to put together. One is about our program leaders. It's in there. He's going to talk a little bit about it. And then the other one is is the information about Indigenous academic achievement and what schools are doing certainly towards that. And again, I think that that's a great opportunity where Mr. Stanley is putting a lot of background into doing some things with Indigenous students and academic achievement, and that's great where that grant could be spent in a school to doing stuff like that. So, yeah.
Just a comment that on the schedule was the grade 12 assessment results. We have not received those from the province yet. So as soon as we receive those from the province, we will add them to the next meeting agenda.
Thanks, Mr. Reid. We're going to move forward to Secretary Treasurer Jody.
Yeah, the report is attached. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I'll make it really short and sweet. Under miscellaneous, just reminding everybody that we're going to be entering into budget season. So our next board meeting, we are going to talk with the public about feedback about our future budget for 26-27, which is kind of crazy to think we're that far into the future already and planning ahead. But our budget process takes a little while, and we'll be looking forward and reaching out to municipalities to see if they want to show up on the 2nd for their feedback or forward their comments. We will have an ad in the local paper. It'll be running, I believe it was for 2 weeks. And then we have a spot on our website already with the budget information and letting people know where they can send their questions and comments. So that's the biggest highlight. Another one, I know in our maintenance department section, we reference SCI, the capital project there. It is still ongoing, and we were fortunate collectively as the board, we were able to meet. It's not documented here, and I'll have it updated for the next board meeting. But we were able to meet with Deputy Minister of Education, Mona Pandy, and I felt like that was a great conversation with her. We were able to express our point of view about the delays in the project, the challenges that we've been seeing, the sacrifices that students and the school has made putting up with fluctuating temperatures. Sometimes it's within tolerance, and sometimes the devices weren't working. So I was very happy that the Deputy Minister heard our concerns and is working with us along with her team that we can try and find a resolution to this. It is still a long process. I don't anticipate it'll be over tomorrow, but hearing that they're listening to us means a big change in process right now.
Thanks, Jody. Any comments for Jody? Questions? Trustee Boyton?
I just want to say thanks to Jody because you presented everything so well. I don't know how you even knew what you were talking about between chillers and boarders, and that's a completely different language, I'm sure, than what you're used to. And you did a great job, and she was very attentive, and it seemed like she understood, and her, Jeff, is that his name that was with her? I know, I think they took amazing, Jeff Taylor? Yeah, and I thank you. I know you were under the weather. You would have never known it the way you presented, but thank you so much for that. And also to Mr. Harrison, that's great that you guys put all the information together.
Anyone else? Comments? Trustee Rowland?
Just about the daycare upgrades, Centennial. So you have mentioned that there is plans to do some improvements. They were identified, I guess, by the inspector. Sort of along the lines of SCI and maintenance and ongoing things. Do we look like we might get some reimbursement for the daycare upkeep? And what happens in future daycares? Do we have to set up some policy? Or?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a meeting, last board meeting, I think or at some point in time, I do know that there was reference that we will have to take a look at our daycare contracts. Some of them are as old as 20-some years old. We haven't looked at revising them. We for Centennial especially, the daycare does have to be some capital maintenance needs to be invested. there is a clause, the way the contract reads, that we can collect funds a year later. So the way we invoice them is a year goes by and then we collect what we put out in costs. So we will have to have a discussion with the daycare facility to see what that looks like. This kind of investment, nobody can pay a year in advance with the fees that they collect. I've also reached out to the province to say we don't pay normally for this kind of capital investment. Where is the funds for these childcare facilities? We are not alone. Talking to my secretary treasurer counterparts, a lot of them are in the same situation. Some have roof replacements that need to be done. Some have the whole flooring throughout the whole daycare to be done, and that's not within their budget, and that's not within the contract agreement. So there is a lot of renewals and reinvestment that is outside of the contract, and the province doesn't have an answer for a lot of us. But I do think we can work with the daycare and figure something out. I also think that there are going to be funding, hopefully in the near future, because we're not the only ones asking, that the province is going to have to consider and consider us putting these things on our 5-year capital as well. So that is going to be something we're going to see more of, not just schools, but of daycares on our capital project.
Anyone else? Thanks, Jody. And Lorraine, Trustee Boyton, thanks for 7 of our 8 trustees were able to make the meeting because we're real concerned about SCI. Nice work certainly around there, and thanks for the support from our trustees. I think the message was sent loud to the province that we weren't happy. Let's see where we get to before we're jumping for joy here. Let's see where we get to. But again, I think that so far, the response from the Deputy Minister was encouraging. So let's move on to board business. 8.1 is the Indigenous Academic Achievement information. Mr. Reid.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight for the board, how we spend a pretty sizable grant from Manitoba Education and Early Childhood Learning. So, in the report, a bit of a breakdown just in terms of the spending. I do want to highlight that in past years, there was an ICT tech paid for out of this grant. That's been removed beginning this most recent school year, basically resulting in that money being allocated to schools. So this is just a report on last year's spending. So this year it's very similar, but without the tech salary in there, that becomes an allocation to schools. So just highlighted the allocation to schools for you, and wanting to note that it's given out to schools on a per pupil basis based on the number of self-identified Indigenous students. You may question about, do we have Indigenous students at the colony? No, we do not. And so, but we give them some dollars allotment there so they can provide some learning to their students on Indigenous culture. And so we give them the opportunity to do that as well. Money should be spent on the 2 provincially identified priorities. Number 1 being improving the academic achievement of Indigenous students in numeracy and literacy. And then, of course, some teaching and learning about Indigenous culture for all students. So those are the 2 priorities where the grant should be spent. And then just provided the board a bit of a summary in terms of some of the priority areas that if we grouped the spending of, how the schools spend their money, those would be the broad categories that the spending, would fall into. Also, when we're talking about Indigenous academic achievement at that grant, also want to just highlight that the school division also receives what's called the Elders and Knowledge Keepers in Schools initiative. That's an additional grant of $50,000, where the primary purpose is to bring elders and knowledge keepers into the schools to teach students about a variety of topics on Indigenous perspectives and Indigenous culture. That one we don't allocate to schools, we house it centrally, and as schools request it, because different schools access it, for different priorities and at different rates, we hand that out. To date, we have not had to say no to schools. We've always seemed to manage to spend it out as the year closes and honor all school requests. We report, well, we don't report to the province on the spending of the IAA grant. We do report on the spending for the elders and knowledge keepers. So the second attachment is just the summary of the report, or the report that's provided to the province. Thought that was just kind of important to highlight because it just gives some more details. At some level, the spending of the two grants is probably almost seamless, and when schools report back to us on what they're doing, they're probably reporting, you know, initiatives with each grant in reporting for each grant. The spending definitely overlaps at the school level in terms of how they're spending these dollars.
Comments or questions for Mr. Reid? Kind of interesting, Mr. Reid, is that my one question would be, you know, how do we know that we're improving Indigenous literacy and numeracy? You've answered it in here. Two parts to the grant. One is improving that or cultural learning. And pretty difficult, I guess, also as well, is to measure whether we're improving cultural learning as well. But it's always interesting to say the grant is there for learning and literacy and numeracy improvement, specifically for Indigenous children. It's always difficult to measure whether that is working or not. Go ahead.
Actually, I can speak to that a little bit. We've started to, this school year, I think you would have noticed, we've started to pull out some of what the province called the disaggregated data. So the province also tracks the data of the provincial assessments specifically for self-identified Indigenous students. And as we've pulled some of that out, we see that in some of our schools, that performance is actually very strong, that we're not seeing any difference between our Indigenous and non-Indigenous students in terms of their academic performance in some of our sites. In some of our other sites where we are seeing the gap, and the province will often refer to the learning gap between Indigenous learners and non-Indigenous learners. So in some of our schools, we are noticing that gap. But what we're also seeing is our Indigenous students in those schools are significantly outperforming their Indigenous peers, you know, across the province. And so while, you know, there's still work to be done, and we would like to close that gap in all of our schools, as some of our schools have done successfully, but we would like to see that gap close in all of our schools. We're still seeing promising results from all of our learners, you know, in our schools. So we are able to track that data.
So you're taking the learning from some of our schools and sharing with some of the schools where the learning's not there. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Thanks for the report. Because I'm not sure that we've had an Indigenous academic achievement report in some time. I don't remember ever having one. So thanks for sharing that. Program leader report. I don't think that in my 8 years I've had a program leader report either. So thanks for sharing this.
I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. Probably don't need to speak to it. Also, the reports themselves are quite long for the trustees to go through. But we do have the 5 full-time program leaders, and I've highlighted their job portfolios and the titles. And we did ask all of them to identify, you know, for the trustees, what are some of the larger ongoing projects or themes of the work that they're doing, you know, throughout the fall, and then demonstrate, you know, how busy they are, because they are incredibly busy. They are very busy and supporting a variety of schools. You'll notice in the reports that not all of our program leaders go to all of our schools. That's because they go to the schools where they are requested. And so if a particular school is not requesting a program leader's attendance for any support, our program leaders have been instructed to spend their time and focus on the schools where their support is needed. So.
Any comments or questions? Trustee Boyton?
So just one, when Mr. Stanley presented, he mentioned about there not being the math, I can't remember what term he used, kind of like guidance or whatever. What was the word? Residency. So if he wanted some math help, if he asked for it, would he get it?
So when he uses the term residency, that sort of speaks to a larger commitment that our math program leader will do in, you know, a certain number of schools a year. So to be sort of equitable to the best of his ability, he can only do sort of 5 or 6 of those residencies in a given school year, right? And so because he will commit to going out to a particular school and working with their staff on an ongoing basis, almost a week at a time over 3 weeks in the school year. Don't quote me on those exact numbers, but that is sort of generally speaking the commitment that he would offer to a school. So in terms of a residency, he can only, you know, have so many of those. Outside of that, though, he does leave, the math program leader, Mr. Stevenson, would leave time available in his schedule to, you know, help other schools that are looking for smaller pieces. So I do believe that Enola School had a residency last year. And so kind of out of the rotation, it would be rare for a school to get a residency, you know, with Mr. Stevenson 2 years in a row. But that being said, you know, Mr. Stevenson would still be available to help all of our schools, whether or not they had a residency scheduled in the school year or not.
We'll follow up on that question, and you don't have the answer. But that would be a great one to answer is, did it work last year? And I guess the question is, what worked? So if he did a residency, what are we looking to improve? I'm sure that we're looking to improve numeracy outcomes, or numeracy doing, the kids doing better. And so at the end of the day is, did they? So as we do these things, is it working? So that's my question is, as these program leaders are working with schools, is the effects that they're having working? So I'm not asking you to answer that question right now, but that would be the question that, great that we have all these people supporting schools, is what they're doing working? For another time, Mr. Reed, but it's it's just a follow-up question as Mr. Standing was here and numerous following from you, is what he's doing working? Okay? Who? Oh, Melissa?
Trevor, to follow up on kind of the commentary on the residencies, do we offer those to the colony schools?
I don't think we've ever had a colony school request a residency. I do know if we rewind the clock probably to the start or the finish of 2 school years ago, there was a concern raised by the colonies that they don't get access to all of our program leaders. They didn't really feel that they were getting a level of support from all of our program leaders. So we actually did address that directly with the program leaders at the start of last year. And the colonies have reported that they are now feeling that they're getting the help that they need from the program leaders when requested. So.
Thanks, Trevor. And just one more follow-up there. You referred to a residency with numeracy. Do all of our program leaders do residencies?
No, the residencies, there's no requirement for the residency, and that just seems to be a format that works for our schools and our numeracy program leader. I wouldn't be able to speak to why, you know, it started that way with that particular individual in the role with Mr. Stevenson. But no, he would be the only one that would be probably going in for that dedicated week and using that model. Our other program leaders would be supporting in smaller pieces, but spending the same number of days in schools and, you know, just kind of distributed differently.
Anything else with program leaders? So my last question, Mr. Reed, for program leaders, and again, I didn't ask you this ahead of time, but now I'm thinking about it. We got 5 of them. Is what they're doing working? Right? I'm just wanting to know is what they're doing working. So for you to come back later on, not now, but is what they're doing working for us. Let's move on. Proposal to subdivide. It's for information. It's out in the Enola area. Is there anything that you want to add, Jody, to this?
I don't think so. It was a subdivision that was circulated a while back, and it's come back again with new recommendations. Either way, it's going to have a potential impact on how many students are going to attend our school, So again, we're going to just remind the municipality, it is with Springfield. They fortunately do pass motions to collect the 10%, but we're just going to remind them to keep that money coming because it helps us pay for additional buses or more land to expand a school. So we'll keep that going.
Thank you. Anything from on that from anyone? Thanks, Jody, for sharing that with us. 8.4 is our MSBA. We talked a little bit about that. We just had a regional meeting. We said that we would do a quick roundtable for discussions. So, Mr. Harris, you're going to get a chance to go first here. What were your thoughts from the regional roundtable?
Oh, you caught me off guard there. I had a couple of notes somewhere. Where'd they go? I enjoyed the day. It was great to meet the other trustees from the other divisions and have that breakout session. That's the part I enjoyed the most.
Trustee Boyton?
Sorry, we're kind of focused right now on the internet because we don't have internet. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll continue. I think it was a great day. I mean, we had a lot of talk about the resolutions, and I think they flowed really good, and we have some really good discussion. The day seemed to fly by, so it must have gone really well. Paul, you really did do, I hate to say this. Tough,
Can you say that loud?
Okay, Paul did a really good job. No, you really did. I mean, we had some really good discussion questions that we sat at the tables and shared, you know, what happens in our divisions. And so I think it was a great day, a lot of good sharing. Food was great, so kudos. Yeah.
Trustee Rowan?
I kind of want to take a page from Lena's book and just go ditto. It was a great day, and I really appreciated having the in-depth conversations on the resolutions and also getting to connect with other divisions and trustees and talk about what's working for them and hearing some of their struggles, because then we were able to kind of troubleshoot a little bit that way.
Trustee Smith?
I find it was a very good meeting. We had a lot of, I think we had a lot of different topics go about that day, and it went by very fast, but this meeting felt different than other meetings. It seemed like we had a lot of ground covered compared to other meetings. Some of the resolutions, when they came on the floor, kind of didn't make sense. So there was a lot of back and forth there, but it was an all-around good meeting, but the day did go by very, very fast. So I do enjoy the Region 3 meeting.
Thank you, Alicia. Trustee Wilson?
Actually, I really enjoyed the breakout sessions. I thought a lot is gained by sharing what's going on in different areas and different from different trustees. So that was a highlight for me.
Trustee Rowland?
Very similar to what everyone else said. It was really great to be part of the discussion and to have such an in-depth discussion about the resolutions and things going on. That was really engaging, and we were able to get a lot more details than we would at a larger gathering, so it was really great. My one comment I had about the one of the presentations from MSBA, their financial report, that they were trying to, convey to us some transparency and degree. But my comment was that the numbers displayed on their slide decks didn't represent anything that would, that it was identical in the documents they provided. And I thought that they could have given a little bit more details about all the excess funding they have that they didn't go into detail about. But it was there, and so more clarity, although it was a good opportunity, like they are trying to become more transparent, and I appreciate that. But there's room for improvement.
So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that term around the MSBA table, taking back from it, because yeah, I do think that you're bang on. Trustee Dent.
Yeah, I think just echoing what everybody else has said. I really enjoyed the breakout groups as well. I think the fact that we get together as a region multiple times a year. I think now we're at that point where everybody's fairly comfortable with themselves and maybe a little less guarded. So kind of sharing some challenges that maybe they see within their division, but then also some successes, I think is very valuable for our division.
So one question that I have is that there was an awful lot of presentation in the morning part for us, and there was time for, because all of you mentioned that you liked the sharing and activity, being active. Would Sunrise, is this a Sunrise thing where we'd want to go back to MSBA and saying that we probably want a little bit more time to do that as opposed to stand and deliver what we got? Are you looking at more of what we had as opposed to, and again, I'm not saying that there wasn't those things weren't good, but there wasn't a ton of time for us to go and roundtable stuff. And there wasn't a whole lot of time really then they were really worried that I was going to go off script and go ahead and ask a variety of different questions. So I didn't. But I do think that from what I've liked about it is all what you've said, is that I want to pick your brain from Hanover and I want to pick your brain from Evergreen and Lord Selkirk or whatever, because I want to ask some questions about what are you doing in this situation. And I want to hear what other people would go ahead and say. So I would like a little bit more time. Is that something that is that just me, or is that something that would be valuable? Yes, no? Okay. Donna?
I think having more time in breakout sessions, doing our roundtable would be beneficial, because it felt like it was a little bit rushed. You have 5 minutes to go over question 1 and 2, and then you're done. It felt very rushed. We didn't have a lot of time to do that discussion bit. Having more time with Lord Selkirk and at our little roundtables would be, having more time for that would be a little bit better.
What's yeah? Right? Yes?
I'm just looking at the different sessions that went on that day. It was half an hour for the auditor's reports. We didn't need that. That could have given us half an hour more for discussion. The strategic plans took about an hour. That's important stuff. We had to hear that. Sponsored resolutions. That took a while. Almost 2 hours. That was killer.
Okay. I got that. All right, thanks for the feedback as to where we were. I think Sunrise will say is that if we can do more breakout stuff and get talking ourselves, that would be great for us, and we'll move forward with that. 8.5 is our financial audited service 2-year extension. Be it resolved that the financial audit services be awarded to MNP LLP for fiscal years 25, 26, 26, 27. Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by trustee Rowan, seconded by trustee Dent. Sorry, it was moved by trustee Boydson, seconded by trustee Dent. Do we need to do this by hand? Okay. We need to be voting by hand now. All those in favor? And it's carried. Thank you for that. And if you're listening online, it's because Trustee Harris probably stuck his finger in the socket and we lost our internet, so we're going from there. 8.6 is our Lactabani Senior School Varsity Girls. So be it resolved, the board approve in principle the Lactabani Senior School Junior Varsity Girls Volleyball trip to Birtle, November the 20th to 22nd, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by trustee Wilson, seconded by trustee Smith. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. 8.7, Senior School, grade 7 and 8 trip to Falcon Ridge. Be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Lactabani Senior School, grade 7 and 8 trip to Falcon Ridge ski slopes, February 13th, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by trustee Wilson and seconded by trustee Smith. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. Edward Schreier School. Be it resolved that the board approve in principle the Edward Schreier Junior Varsity Boys Volleyball trip to Nipwa on November 19th to 22nd in a couple of days, subject to the superintendent's final approval. Moved by trustee Harris and seconded by trustee Smith. Yep.
Just would like to speak to this one because, of course, the trustees have probably noticed that they don't have any information on their package. And the backstory of this is last week the junior varsity boys from Edward Schreier School lost the Zone 13 championship. But were invited to play last night in a sort of a provincial qualifier. And so they won their provincial qualifier last night in order to qualify to go to provincials. And throughout the day, they've been scrambling to make travel and hotel arrangements and didn't have those done by 4:30. They're almost there in terms of their planning, so they don't have the paperwork in yet, just to give us the details of securing a hotel. So they'll continue to work on that throughout the evening, and will in all likelihood submit the paperwork tomorrow for myself to review. This is actually the same provincial tournament that the board has approved SCI to attend. So SCI is attending, their junior varsity boys are attending as the zone championships coming out of the KPAC conference, and now our Edward Schreier boys will be attending the same one if the trustees approve the trip this evening, and we'll see if they end up playing each other on the weekend. That'll be interesting. And so that's the backstory on why this has come at the last minute for the trustees.
Thanks, Mr. Reed. Mr. Liskey, we haven't approved it yet, so I don't know if they're going. So as to where it is, but kudos to both schools. Any questions to this? All those in favor? Carried. It's approved. So committee reports. Anything? Oh, no, I'm stay there. Whoa. Must be that luck. Policy committee, trustee Rowan, anything from the policy committee?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Trustee Boyton, anything from the finance? Yeah, go ahead.
So this would be the opportunity for the board to continue their conversations around replacing our former trustee Nicol on the policy committee. And so step one of this process would be a discussion of whether or not the board felt a replacement was necessary. If you feel the replacement is necessary, this would be the opportunity to have an election to replace trustee Nicol on the committee. So.
Okay, thank you for this. So round table, are we gonna have a vote and replace? So I guess replace, yes. And are we gonna have a vote to go ahead and do that? Trustee Dent.
Yes, I would agree with replacing Mr. Nicol, and yes, I believe that the approach that's the most fair is to have a vote.
Trustee Rowland.
Agree to both.
Trustee Wilson.
I agree.
Trustee Smith.
I agree.
Trustee Rowan.
I'm in agreement as well.
Trustee Boyton.
I agree.
Trustee Harris.
I agree.
All right, so Magno agrees as well. So let's go ahead and do this. Trustee Rowan is on the policy, the chair of our policy committee. That's Trustee Rowan. Trustee Rowan, you also have on your policy committee. Trustee Rowan, on your policy committee, you have who else with you? Trustee Wilson and Trustee Boyton. So we're looking for one more. Trustee to sit on that committee. So are there any nominations for that? Trustee Dent, go ahead.
I would like to nominate Trustee Rowland.
Trustee Rowland, do you accept?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Trustee Rowland, thank you. Are there any other nominations? Trustee Harris.
I would nominate Trustee Smith.
Trustee Smith, are you interested?
I am.
Trustee Smith, thank you. Okay, so while we're, let's keep on going. So the Finance Committee, Trustee Boytson, anything from your Finance Committee?
Nothing other than our next meeting is November the 20th.
Okay. I'm going to keep going. The Education Foundation Committee, there's nothing really from the foundation. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, we'll come back to it. We'll come back to the Finance Committee about doing it, just they're out of the room right now, and so we'll wait till we do that. I'm going to keep going. Foundation Committee, Trustee Jody, is there anything from the Foundation Committee?
No, but I'll give everybody an update. We are working on updating our website so that we have a website that'll say Education Foundation for anybody who would like to make donations. The goal is that we're going to have it up before, I know originally the idea was end of November before we get into budget season, just due to people being available. We're probably we're pushing it into December, but we're hopeful to have it up in time for the end of year when everybody wants to make donations and give to charity. So we'd like to take an opportunity for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Jody, I just have a question. You said a website. Is that actually going to be a web page that's part of the Sunrise website?
Yeah, that'll be part of the Sunrise website. Yeah, a web page.
Okay, thanks. Anything else on that? All right, the results of the election. Trustee Rowland, Policy Committee. Thank you. Thank you, Trustee Smith. So now we have an opportunity with the Finance Committee. So we're going to go through the same process instead of going around the table. Are we all okay going through the same process with Finance that we just did with Policy? I see heads nodding. We're good all the way around? Okay. So let's take some nominations then. Nominations for the Finance Committee. Trustee Boytson.
I'd like to nominate Trustee Rowan.
Trustee Rowan. Do you accept?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Trustee Rowland.
Would like to nominate Trustee Wilson if she's interested.
Trustee Wilson, are you interested?
Yes, I am.
I would nominate Trustee Smith.
Trustee Smith, are you interested?
Yes, I am.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right. So nominations are closed. We have Trustee Rowan, Trustee Wilson, and Trustee Smith. You need to choose one out of the three, please. Okay, so we're going to keep moving on until where we get that. Do we have anything, Trustee Rowan, from the Land Planning Committee?
No, not at this time.
Thank you. So professional development, you know that we have got that thing on the 24th. I know you're going to miss me, and I'd love to be there, but good, have a great day, certainly on it. A reminder that the 19th and 20th of March is the MSBA convention. Nice to know information is there. And thank you, Sarah, for putting that information together. upcoming meetings, December the 2nd and January the 6th. And again, thanks to Sarah for putting that. You all got an email with regard to Christmas concerts. Thank you. All the Christmas concerts information and band information. So thanks for going ahead and doing that. We will have some motions that are coming from in camera, and we're ready to go with those motions. So we'll deal with those motions right away here. And congratulations, thank you to Trustee Rowan. And can we have a motion for Lars to eat the ballots, to destroy the ballots? Okay, motion by Trustee Boydton and seconded by Trustee Rowan. Destroy the ballots, all in favor? Carried. Okay, thank you for that. Jody, are there any questions from the public?
So far, no. I was expecting the community from Anola to be reaching out, but unfortunately it doesn't, or fortunately, there's no questions.
Okay, so we have one motion from in camera, and the motion is, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the agreement reached on November the 12th with QP Local 1618, representing the bus drivers and mechanics. The recommended approval is subject to successful ratification by QP Local 1618. Moved by Trustee Boydton, seconded by Trustee Rowland. Comments? Hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor, need to see hands, please. A pretty important vote for us. It's carried 8-0. Thank you for that. Be it resolved that Trustee Magnon, Trustee Dent, and Trustee Harris form the QP 4456 Negotiating Committee with a chair to be elected from amongst the 3 negotiated reps. We need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Trustee Boydton, seconded by Trustee Rowan. Comments on it? Okay, hearing none, we'll vote. All those in favor? It carried 8-0. Thank you for that. Are we good with that, Sarah? Okay. So we're done here, but so we can adjourn our meeting. We do need to go in camera, but there is no business coming out of in camera, correct? So we'll adjourn our meeting and we'll go back into in camera. Thanks very much, everyone. Good night.